Well, I'm delighted so many has came. I talk about Midlands North West, particularly the west of Ireland, so often, but I'm delighted everybody has been listening and have joined here. Let me just give my official welcomes and to acknowledge the top table here, Minister Simon Coveney, who is our Chair and Director of Elections for the European elections. We also welcome Alan Dillon, Willie Gertie, John Carroll. Of course, you've just heard from our fantastic candidate, Nina, who will be joining us across Midlands North West. And it would be amiss of me not to acknowledge our Taoiseach in waiting, our party leader in waiting in Minister Simon Harris. Delighted to have you here. And thanks for bringing one or two with you. I also want to acknowledge your family who's joining today for a very, very special day for us all. So thank you for allowing us to join. And dare I say, Midlands North West Convention to do this all in. It's fantastic to have such coverage and people in the room. Let me continue on by acknowledging Commissioner Mairead McGuinness, my very hard-working colleagues, MEP Colin Markey, MEP Francis Fitzgerald. Delighted to have you here. Deputies, senators, councillors, and local election candidates, thank you for joining. And a very special welcome to our members who have travelled from right across the 15 counties of Midlands North West to join. It would be remiss of me not to begin my speech today by thanking our current Taoiseach, Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, for his years of public service to the Irish people and to our party. Politics, as many of us seen and heard for the last years we've been in it, but particularly this week, politics requires courage and great commitment, and the Taoiseach have delivered both in such fantastic and equal measure. And I've had the privilege of working with him and his team for the past 5 years as an MEP, and he has been nothing but gracious with his time for myself and the issues that I have brought forward within the party at a European level for constituents across Midlands North West. And just this week, hours after he made an announcement, he was on a plane to the European Union to ensure that his voice and his leadership would continue on. And I just really want to acknowledge that commitment to the European project. As a pro-European, this party very much stands on that. Time and time again, the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has delivered on that. And I'm really excited to work with Minister Simon Harris, who I know will continue on in that for us. It's incredibly important now more than ever. It's hard to believe 5 years have passed since I stood before you all at the 2019 convention, and I was privileged to receive such an overwhelming support from you and stand as a Fine Gael candidate with our former First Vice President, now Commissioner Mairead McGuinness. Against the odds, and there was one or two journalists perhaps in this room that was a little bit less weighted on our winning 2 seats, but we've proved them wrong, and we will do so again in June. But against the odds, our collective hard work led to our party securing a second seat in the constituency, and I was honoured to be elected to the European Parliament as an MEP. And over the past 5 years, we have faced multiple challenges, which have required strong leadership and reinforced the important role that the European Union has for us and our role within it. Just to share some, the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic that stopped the world, the Russian aggression towards Ukraine, an unjustified genocide killing thousands of innocent civilians in Gaza, challenges facing all growing European cities and towns in the delivering of affordable housing, and the need to secure food production and rural livelihoods as we make the green transition as an island nation. Our world is ever-changing, and the resistance to this is futile. But we must bring our citizens with us. We must bring them with us. And they rightly seek trusted leaders, demand accountability, and deserve transparency. And these are the political morals and standards I hold high, and I hold them high in your interests, in our party's interests, and the interests of our country. I come before you today with a proven track record as a sitting member of the European Parliament. And over the past 5 years, I've worked hard And more importantly, I've worked hard within our party, on behalf of our party, and for the people of the 15 counties Nina and I will represent. I have delivered across a range of issues, and if you allow me some time, Chair, to walk through 3 of them. These 3 areas covering healthcare, economy, and rural development. On healthcare, I have campaigned day in and day out, as Councillor Clodagh Higgins very kindly shared, to put mental health on the European political agenda. Death by suicide is the 2nd leading cause of death right now for our young people in the EU. The 2nd leading cause of death. And to combat this crisis, I've worked closely with President of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and her Commission to ensure that mental health is accounted for across all European policy. And off the back of that work, I am confident that we will see in the next mandate the first ever EU-wide mental health strategy delivered, and to end this horrific loss of life. On the economy, my colleagues and I have really put focus on protecting Ireland's tax regime because we know it's integral. And I have voted against all EU legislation that threatens our global competitive advantage. And let me just hone in on one key area. I believe gender equality isn't just a social justice issue, but it's an economic imperative. And as one of the chief negotiators on the EU Transparency Directive, I've put legislation in place to ensure men and women are treated equal in the workplace, putting money back into the pockets of Irish women. In 2021, thank you, very much deserving, thank you. In 2021, and Nina picked up on it, women received just over 2% of the total venture capital invested in European startups, but yet make up close to 40% of all European entrepreneurs. The maths is simply not adding up. And to right this wrong, I've delivered the concept with my team of the Female Founders Fund, the first in the EU. And this investment fund will be dedicated to growing private equity and increasing capital funding for female businesses, an essential step in ensuring thousands of Irish female entrepreneurs across the country have every opportunity to grow, scale, and succeed. And Simon's tapping, but I have about 16 more pages, and no, I kid. Just let me say, finally, on rural development, I've continuously voted in favour of increasing funding for the development of our small towns and villages. And over the past 5 years, we have seen huge transformation, I should say, in the way people have left cities during the pandemic and moved back to towns and villages and islands they grew up in. And my vision for the future of rural Ireland is one of connectivity. It is tech-supported, it's commercially attractive, it's balanced, and homegrown talent can grow and scale and have access to a thriving EU single market. We are already seeing this in action with Smart Villages initiatives delivered in Mount Bellew and Delo, just to show some examples. I cannot speak about rural Ireland without acknowledging the importance of our farmers, and Nina touched on it also. Their vital role they play in producing our food and acting as the custodians of our land. As a young farmer and a Green Cert holder, I understand the differences faced with small family farms in the west of Ireland. And to re-echo, my priority is to equip, empower and economically support our farm families through the ongoing green transition. As a proud Mayo woman, Michael Ring covered a lot of it now, but as a proud Mayo woman, I've been particularly strong voice for the West, championing a much-needed veterinary college within ATU, and we must get that delivered. Minister Harris, we must get that delivered. A more pressing issue too, meeting with mica and pyrite affected homeowners and advocating for 100% redress and advocating for the development of a transformative Port of Galway project. I am one of many young people, like Nina, who represent the face of New Ireland. I have a vision for a modern Ireland which is diverse and tolerant, yet continues to embrace the traditional values of love of family and that term mehel, which this party so proudly acknowledges, which means all communities working together and growing together. And delivering this vision for Ireland in Europe would be impossible without collaborating with constituents, local businesses and community groups and our local representatives, which I do week in and week out. Let me say before I wrap up, I'd like to thank Deputy Michael Ring and Councillor Clodagh Higgins for putting their trust in me and proposing and seconding me. I want to thank my own family, my parents in particular who are here with me today, Noreen and Vincent, and my friends for their never-ending support, as well as my team who many of you have met, and if you haven't, please do so by the end of today, who are as hardworking and committed to the European project as I. A special mention to all our local election candidates, especially our first-time candidates. I know only too well the significance of putting your name forward and standing for election. It is courageous, but very much needed in our democracy right now. And I assure you, I will help you in any shape or form coming up to the June elections. Ultimately, no politician can run a successful campaign without our party members. And I wish to thank each and every one of you who will knock on the doors and support Fine Gael candidates over the coming months. And let me just say this to you. Our democracy is indebted to your drive. Without you, as all have shared, we would not be here and we would not be the party we are. So we are indebted to your drive. Thank you very, very much.